Kia ora, Chris from NIWA here with a seasonal climate outlook. It's not just a climate outlook, it is the winter outlook. Here is what you need to know. A warmer than average winter is likely for all of Aotearoa, New Zealand. Look, there will be cold snaps and frost. These things will happen, but it will not define the 3-month period. We need to watch to our north. Why? Well, not because we're going on holiday there, because we may see visitors from the north. Low pressure. Rain-bearing low-pressure systems may be semi-frequent guests or visitors over the winter season, and that usually brings with it higher chances for heavy rain and warmer temperatures, and a wetter than usual winter for some of New Zealand. Not all, but some of New Zealand. So, what do you need to know? Let's start with temperatures. I'm going to disappear, full frame. Yeah, warmer than average across the entire country. Now, what does this mean? What is it like? Okay, so warmer than average winter, Chris. Well, great. Well, what does that mean for me? Well, maybe you're running the heater less often. Maybe you're not wearing the puffer jacket as much. If you like skiing and snowing, you're a snow enthusiast, it may be a bit of a bummer season. Perhaps more days outdoors and where it's a bit more palatable and enjoyable back on screen. So that's the winter season as a whole, warmer than average temperatures, with the North Island, upper North Island, having the greatest odds for that. What about rainfall for the next 3 months? Once again, disappearing. If there's going to be wetter than usual conditions, above normal rain, the best chances for that, the north of the North Island, where I'm pointing right here. So that's Waikato Bay, Plenty, Auckland, and Northland. The rest of the country, bar the eastern part of the South Island, we'll circle back to that in a moment. The eastern part of the north, western part of the north, the rest of the country, etc. We think wetter than normal conditions are distinctly possible coming back on screen, but there's a bit more uncertainty. So we're saying normal or above normal in that spectrum, okay? Now, disappearing again, you can see that the eastern South Island we have as normal. Look, a lot of uncertainty here. Rainfall very possibly could be lumpier than usual. What does that mean? Well, coming back on screen, that simply means we can find these extended dry periods followed by these maybe sharper periods of wet weather, and then we do it again. Right. So that is the 3-month period as a whole. We're gonna talk more, of course. I mean, come on, I got time to fill. By the way, this is the 29th of May. We are recording this on the Thursday afternoon, 29th of May. So just putting that on the time stamp. So from the 3rd of June to the 10th of June. So this is the 7 days starting on June 3rd. Where you see the green, that is where wetter than usual conditions, that's where they're favored. And much of the North Island is favored to be wetter than usual. And look, man, that makes sense. Why? Because let's look at the map. Remember this guy right here? Low pressure. There is the 6th of June right here. 5th of June right there. So the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, we got blue over us. So that totally makes sense that we see from the 7 days starting on June 3rd, wetter than usual conditions are expected for the North Island. Likewise for a good chunk of the South Island. What about week 3? So this is the 10 days from the 7 days, I beg your pardon, from the 10th of June. So the 10th through the 17th. Still potentially some wetter than usual conditions for a good chunk, we'll call it the northern half of the North Island, roughly, northern 2/3, maybe parts of the South Island, top of the South Island. This is saying to me some kind of north to northwest flow, because usually with north to northwest winds, you're going to find eastern areas sheltered. And notice how we see northern areas with that greatest signal for wetness. So we could see wetness continue. Now, one thing I should mention, this is from the 10th to the 17th. It doesn't mean every single day between the 10th and the 17th is going to be wetter than usual. What it could mean is that we get a bucket load of rain just by way of example, we get a bucket load of rain on the 10th or the 11th, and then it's dry the rest of the week. That could happen, and that could be true, what you're looking at. So both can be true. All right? So let's continue forward. Week 4. You can see that from the 17th to the 24th, we're looking at drier than normal conditions returning for potentially a good chunk of the South Island, maybe western and lower areas of the North Island, perhaps some wetter than usual conditions for eastern areas of both islands. So this is telling me perhaps some easterly or southeasterly type winds, because that would favor wetness in those areas if that were to materialize. And we go to week 5, and look, we're getting out there, right? Because this is the 24th until the 1st or 2nd of July, 1st of July. So kind of a flat signal, not much in the way of dryness or wetness, maybe a little bit of dryness, eastern parts of the North Island. But there's a signal for wetness for the eastern South Island. Look, these things will change, no doubt. So you can just type NIWA 35 into Uncle Google, and you'll be directed to where that sits on the website. It's updated every day, around 2 in the afternoon or so. So I would encourage you, if you're interested in how things are tracking for the longer range, week 3, week 2, week 4, that sort of thing, leverage this because it does update once a day. And it's guidance, not gospel, but it helps you understand what themes may be coming our way. So just in summary, for the next 3 months, disappearing, warmer than average temperatures for the next 3 months for the entire country. Greatest confidence, the top of the country, upper North Island, where I'm pointing to here. We'll see perhaps less usage of your heaters, bar that one cold snap we're going to see later next week, and let's say June 7th, 8th, 9th. But look, you may be wondering about the ski season. Let's go to rainfall. Above normal rainfall for the top of the country. So if there's going to be wetter than usual conditions, it'll be up here. Now, for the snow season, look, we don't explicitly predict snow for our long-range outlooks. But if it's warmer than average, that tells us, look, it may be a bit tough to get low elevation snow events. I think higher elevation for the southern Alps, that may be different because, look, even if it's warmer than usual and you're at 2,000 meters or 1,500 meters, you're still probably cold enough for snow. So it may not be that impactful as it will be for, say, northern North Island ski resorts or lower elevation ski fields. So something to keep in mind. Also, it's quite frankly timing. Like, you can get a big dump of snow 2 days before school holidays or a week before school holidays, and that could be a huge, and that could save your bacon if you're in the ski or snow industry. But if you get that same dump of snow and it's 2 weeks after school holidays, it's a different impact. So it really, there's a lot that goes into that. But I guess what I'm signaling is that the odds for a banner snow year not looking great, particularly for any fields on the North Island. So let's talk climate drivers. Let's go to the Nerd Alert here. This is my version of the Nerd Alert. What's going on with the oceans? We talked about the atmosphere. So here are SSTA, sea surface temperature anomalies. And let's put on some coloring. Let's put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. We'll do that. Okay, so what's going on? As of late May, you can see that over here, that's kind of a wimpy one. Can we upgrade that? No. Oh, maybe this. Anyway, we'll stick with this. This is where it's cooler than usual. So cooler than usual ocean temperatures in the eastern Pacific, central and eastern. Now, a little bit farther west, it is warmer than usual. This area right here. So we do have a little, well, I wouldn't call it a dipole. We have a gradient. We have a temperature gradient. It's cooler here, warmer here. And this can lead to thunderstorms being favored here and dryness being favored here. I do think this area, and let's go to the velocity potential. I do think this area right in here will be favored for lift. Now, let's go to June. You can see there will be a bit of sink across the maritime continent. So the maritime continent, Indonesia, north of Australia, Papua New Guinea, kind of in this region right here I'm pointing to, right there. There is some sink forecast there, actually profound sink. But here we see rising motion. And as we go into July, he said, notice this lift becoming a bit more prominent. And that continues into August. And what about September and October? Yeah, so you can see this zone right in here I'm pointing to. This area north of New Zealand, maybe north by northeast of New Zealand, excuse me, I think this area to the north may be an area we'll have to watch for rainfall, rain-bearing low-pressure systems. And that may be the fuel for some occasional heavy rain events. On top of that, going back to the ocean temperatures, our ocean temperatures around New Zealand are unusually warm. Have a look at this. You can see this area right here. Not really, that wasn't helpful. It was red on red. Warmer than usual ocean temperatures, a couple things. One, it makes it hard to find any prolonged or persistent cold snaps. I mean, they could happen, but you need several of them to really knock down ocean temperatures. Basically, if ocean temperatures are running warmer than average, odds are so are the air temperatures. So that is kind of going into our thinking why. We're also expecting airflows to favor the north and northeast. So we're expecting airflows to come from basically this direction. The north or northeast, somewhere in there. Not all the time, but that will be an area where airflows are favored, kind of north, northwest, northeast. And when that happens, we're going to tug down some moisture, we're going to tug down some warmth, and you'll note that the ocean temperatures are warm all around here. So that is one factor to why we think warmer than average winter. Also, when we do get any rain-bearing systems coming from the north, they're going to be coming from a place where there's warmer than usual ocean temperatures, and that adds more fuel, more water vapor to the atmosphere. So there's another reason. We are expecting ENSO neutral conditions. What does that mean? Neither La Nina, neither El Nino to persist for the next 3 months. We're likely to see this sort of setup, though, where the ocean temperatures are kind of flat or neutral, maybe a little bit cooler than average to the east, and favoring warmer than average to the west. And these two will work together so that we'll promote lift here, that's a bad arrow, and sink here. And when that happens, we tend to find high pressure over here more often and low pressure up here. And that does give us our north to northeast wind. I'm really smoothing things out quite a bit, but that's the expectation. So we'll see how we go. But that is winter in summary, warmer than average for the entire country. Yes, cold snaps. Yes, frost, but they won't define the period. And rainfall, if there's going to be wetter than average, a wetter than average winter, the top of the country in this darker bluish green, where the rest of New Zealand, well, the vast majority of New Zealand, having about equal chances for near normal or above normal rainfall, with near normal rainfall likely for the east of the South Island. Look, that's it for me. If you want a complete read of the seasonal climate outlook, head to niwa.co.nz or just type in SCO to Uncle Google and you'll be on your way. We'll see you next time. I'm Chris Brandolino. Ngā mihi nui.